Well, good morning and welcome to Mindful Movement with AARP Alabama. I'm your host for today, Tawana Wright, and today's exercise program is with Becca Impello. Becca has been doing yoga for more than 20 years, and we are glad to have her here with us today. If I can just keep from popping the wrong things online, we'll have a great session. AARP wants to remind you that AARP empowers people to choose how they live as they age. AARP is a nonpartisan 501c4 organization that has over 420,000 members in Alabama. AARP's role is to advocate for those 50 plus and their families. We are delighted that we have Becca here doing this exercise program for us. And Becca, what are we going to do today?
Good morning, Tawana. Well, we are today going to do a good all-around practice. It's where, we're going to try to hit, all the major joints, do some things seated, do some things standing. So we'll hit a little bit of everything today.
All right. Well, that sounds good. Folks, before you begin doing any kind of exercise, we ask that you would speak to your physician and make sure it's all right. Becca, let's get started.
All right. Well, let me just say first, there's a little, there's a line in that AARP motto or, mission statement that we read at the beginning about AARP empowers people to choose how they live as they age. And that's just something I want to emphasize, that word choice, right? So today during our practice, you're going to have choices to make. I'm going to give you some, suggestions. I'm going to lead you through some movements and exercises, even breathing exercises, but you're always empowered to choose whether that one particular movement or exercise is right for you, or if you want to vary it and do it a little bit differently. I encourage you to be, creative in your own body. And then I also just want to remind you that, there's lots of things we don't get to choose about, our aging process, but there is lots that we do get to choose, and how much activity and, movement you feel, you bring into your life, into your daily routine, into your week is one of those things that you can choose and you can control. And we just know that the more you keep your body moving, the better it's going to function for you. So that's why we offer these mindful movement sessions as a way to just keep empowering you to make choices for yourself that will help you be able to be active and be in your body in the ways you want to be as you're getting older. So let's sit in this chair. It could be any firm chair from your kitchen, your dining room table. Those are good choices. Something without arms is preferable, but make do with whatever you've got. All right, I've got my shoes and socks off because that's just how I roll with my yoga practice, but you can certainly do these practices with shoes on or socks on. In fact, for some folks, it may be safer or just advisable to keep your shoes on. So you're making a choice right there for what works for you. All right, so let's sit up tall. Let's keep those feet firmly planted on the ground for now. Drop those hands down into your lap and just sit up tall. Start to notice the top of your head, and it's slightly towards the back, actually, the crown of our head, sort of the highest point when we're in good postural alignment. So think about taking a little bit of length up through the back of the skull to sit nice and tall. And then let's take a few deep breaths. And we're going to add arm movements that are optional. If you don't feel like moving your arms or your shoulders in this particular way, you can keep them resting in your lap. All right. If you want to take that arm movement, we're going to sweep the arms out and up as we inhale. Big breath in through the nose. And then big breath out through the mouth for now as you bring those arms back down to your sides. Inhale. And exhale. And you're trying to take a big breath, right? So the biggest breath that you can comfortably take, that feels good for you. Three more of these breaths, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Two more. One more. Good. Let those hands rest in your lap again. Pull the shoulders back so you're still sitting up tall, but go ahead and let your head fall forward, chin towards your chest. We're going to start our, warm up through the body with some neck rolls. So just start rolling that head slowly from shoulder to shoulder. Now, anywhere where your body is stiff or achy or has any issues going on, it's almost always still a good idea to move. You can make your movements smaller. You can let them gradually get big as things loosen up. You've got lots of choices, as I've already mentioned, to make. All right, now here's a little choice to play around with. As we roll that head up onto the shoulder, you can experiment with letting that head go a little bit back and then forward again across the chest. Make sure you're sitting up nice and tall. That good posture is going to help give you more range to be able to roll through. Now, some folks might feel comfortable rolling their head all the way through that back range, okay? If that's not you, then you're going to continue to go back and forth. But if it feels okay to take that head all the way around, you can try that. Now, if you're doing that full circle, I want you to reverse directions and do a couple more going the other way around. If you're choosing not to do the full circle, you just keep going back and forth. All right, back up to center. Let those arms come down to your side. Let's do a few shoulder rolls. This is really more about the shoulder blades than it is about the shoulder joint. This is not so much about the ball and socket as it is about all these muscles in your chest and in your upper back that sort of attach your arm to the body and attach the shoulder blade to the back. It just usually feels nice and good, like a massage to some of those muscles back there. All right, now let's get the shoulders a little more loosened up. We already did a few arm raises if you did that with the breathing. Let's now take the hands out to the side, all right, like you're making the cactus arms or goalpost arms. Elbows could be high or they could be low, so see what works for you. And then we're just going to see, can we bring one hand behind the head and the other hand behind the back? And then back out to the sides and then reverse that. All right, so we're just working on a little mobility for the shoulder joints. You can go as far towards the middle of your back with those two hands as you comfortably can. So maybe some of us are stopping right at the top of the head and down near the hip. And then we might be able to go almost hands together in the middle of the back there. Okay, let's do 4 more. Good, last one. All right, take those arms down, give them a little shake out those shoulders, shake it all the way down to the hands and fingers. This is good sensory input for our brain. Now give those wrists a couple of slow, big circles. You may have some pops and creaks in those wrist joints. Again, that's not usually a problem or something to avoid unless it's painful, in which case you may need to back off. But we want to kind of get those, air pockets moving, get those bones a little more lubricated with movement. All right, now let's move into the torso, the rib cage. Let's see if you can start to shift your torso, your rib cage, your chest and shoulders side to side. Pelvis stays steady, so I'm keeping my hips grounded on the chair, but I'm shifting that rib cage. And if you want to reach those arms out to the side, you can. That may help you find that movement a little bit better. All right, now we're going to switch this and make it a forward and back movement. Again, the arms could be up here kind of working with this, but it's okay to let your hands stay resting on your thighs if you want. But we're pushing the rib cage forward, pushing the rib cage back. This tends to get the whole spine moving, so you may feel yourself rocking a little bit on the pelvis as well, and that's good movement for the low back and into the hips. All right, now let's see if we can put those two movements together and start to make a circle. So over to the side, forward to the other side, and through the back. And just make that circle with your rib cage, with your torso. Again, your arms could be up or they could be down, resting on your thighs. Let's switch direction. Pause and go the other way. All right, bring it back to center. Sit tall. All right, now let's bring the hands together at the heart, just because this makes a nice little ability to press the hands together and get a little muscle engagement around your core. All right, we're going to push the hands together, sit up tall. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, turn your whole body, or as much of the upper body, rather, that you can. Hips and the legs stay steady, and then back to center. So in other words, I'm not turning my head, I'm turning my chest, my shoulders, my rib cage, even that upper part of the belly is turning a little bit. And this gives us some spinal rotation. Again, this might be one where you need to make that movement smaller, or you might loosen up after a few rounds and feel like you can go a little bit bigger. All right, come back to center. Let those hands drop down, widen your feet and your knees. I'm sitting sort of right at the front third or so of my chair, but I do want to make sure it's not going to tip forward. So keep enough weight on your chair that you're steady. And we're just going to lean forward. This helps us loosen up the back. It's also a really good, functional movement. We may have to bend over and pick up something today. All right, so we want to keep some mobility there in that movement at the hips right here as we fold, and that movement of the back. Now, you can keep your hands right on your thighs. Here's one of those choices you get to make, or you might slide your hands down the fronts of your shins, or you might drop those hands to the floor. Again, that's not going to be for everybody, but if it seems like it's an okay thing for you, you can give that a try. We're going to do 5 more folds or rocks for the low back and the hips. Three more. All right, last one. Bring it on up. Bring those legs closer together. We're going to warm up, do a little mobility for the hips, the knees, and the ankles, and then we'll do some things in standing to get the whole body going. All right, so for this next little sequence, you can certainly hold on if you need a little extra support, or it may just help you feel, a little more engaged. If you want to try arms out to the side, you still want to sit up tall, you still want to be engaged, but you don't have that support of holding on, and your shoulders and arms have to work a little bit to keep them elevated. You're bringing that knee up as high as you comfortably can without rolling or leaning towards the back of the chair. Good. 4 more. All right. And then let's take it to one leg, bend and straighten at the knee. Again, the arms can hold on, or they can be up, or you may need to give them a little break. Notice how that knee feels as you're bending and straightening, kicking and pulling. Keep your movements generally slow enough that you're in control. You're using the muscles. You're not using momentum or giving into gravity. Let's switch feet or switch legs. Kick that other knee. Notice how it feels. Again, sometimes there's a bit of stiffness in our joints when we first start moving them. Hopefully they feel like they get a little more loose and mobile as you go. All right, now both feet on the floor, up on your toes, and then lift the fronts of the feet so you're on your heels. Up on your toes, back on your heels. Just trying to get a little rocking going, moving that ankle joint. All right, last 3 of these. Good, and then pick up one foot in the air and give it a few big circles. That ankle joint, again, like the wrist, maybe there's some pops and creaks there. Go slow. Make it as big as you can. Reverse direction. Okay, other leg. Pick that foot up, circle. Go the other way. All right, now we've done a good warm up for all the major joints. We're going to stand up now. We're going to use our chair, or you could decide to go to the floor for a few sun salutations. Sun salutations are a sort of classic or traditional yoga practice that is a nice way to get the whole body moving and warmed up. So we can use the chair, or everywhere that I might use the chair, you could be going down to the floor. So just remember that's an option. If you're familiar with this sequence, then you can give that a try. All right, make sure your chair is going to be, solid. It's not going to slide when you put some weight on it. Okay, stand a little bit away from the chair and just take a moment. Again, standing on those feet, noticing the contact of your foot with the ground, the weight of your body there. Remember that crown of the head lifting up towards the ceiling. Let's see if we can bring our awareness back to that as we try to straighten up our posture. All right, and then let's reach up. You can sweep those arms out or forward, reach up, and then bend your knees, bend at your hips, and come down. Again, to the chair or maybe down to the floor. And then push those hands into the chair, or if you're using the floor, the hands might need to come up onto your knees or your thighs, flat back, and then soften and fold it in. And now we step one leg back, and you might need to move one leg closer to the chair. You want to be in sort of a lunge position. Again, maybe those hands are on the floor on either side of that front foot. You could also have those hands coming up to that front thigh. From either of these positions, you might choose to raise those arms overhead. Again, there's that word, choose. You got to make a decision here. Is your balance steady enough? Is this a good challenge? Would you rather keep those arms down on the chair? All right, now we're all going to come hands back down to the chair or the floor and step it back with both legs, extending back as long as you can through the spine. Arms are lengthened out. Knees might be bent, or for some folks, they're going to be able to straighten your knees here. This is our downward dog on the chair. Take a couple deep breaths here. All right, now we're going to do a plank pose. This is where we shift into the top of a push-up. So we're doing it on the chair, or maybe you're doing it on the floor. A nice strong push. The floor or the chair away from your chest through straight arms. You want the rest of that body in a nice kind of toned and firm position as well. But do keep breathing, right? We don't ever want to hold our breath. All right, let's transition. Push those hips back into downward dog again. And then step that other foot. So whichever one you didn't have forward last time, step that foot forward. Take a few moments with the lunge here. Take your time as you get in position. Make that choice about whether you want to bring the arms up and overhead. Good. And then hands come back down into the chair or to the floor. And we step back to our sort of tabletop position, flat back, lifting up. And then soften those knees, fold the belly towards the thighs, drop the head down. All right, and then our exit, sit back into those heels. This is chair pose. So it's like a squat, sit back, see if you can bring the arms up. Maybe you take them all the way overhead. You can also bring them in closer to the heart or the body. And then let's rise all the way up. Up tall, maybe a little back bend. And then hands to the heart. Now just take a moment. Check in. What do you notice? Is your heart beating a little faster? Do you feel a little warmth? Are you aware of any particular joints, like say your wrists or your low back from the things that sun salutation, put on those places? Let's do one more of the sun salutation. We're going to try to alternate which leg we step back with first. So take a little moment to see how your memory is doing. Can you remember which leg you had back on the first part or the first lunge? All right, but first we'll inhale up Exhale and fold down. Lift back up. Go flat back. And then down. All right, so here's where you got to see what you can remember. Which leg did you have back first last time? I didn't tell you right or left. I just said take one leg back. So try and switch and make it the other leg. Still have that choice to come up out of the chair. Arms can be overhead, but there's lots of nice arm positions. I'm going to take my arms back behind me this time just as a variation. Squeezing the shoulder blades back, stretching back through the fingertips to straighten the elbows. All right, transition time. We're taking it to downward facing dog. The hands come back down to the chair or the floor and push the hips back, lengthen everything out. It's a good place to sometimes move around, bend one knee and then the other, or shift the weight in the hips side to side. All right, here comes our push-up or our plank again. So shifting that weight forward over the hands. Now, if you happen to be doing this on the ground, one of the options you get there is that you could put your knees down, right, to change up that intensity, to make it a little bit easier. 2 more breaths here. All right, push back to transition and bring the other leg forward. Good. What you want to do here, maybe staying with those hands in the chair or down on the floor, or maybe lifting up. You could take those arms overhead. I'm going to repeat what I did on the other side and squeeze back between the shoulders and reach back with the arms. All right, and we release it, step it back in to that flat back position. Push into the chair, lift and lengthen the spine, and then soften everything up and fold down. All right, now here's our exit, or sort of a dismount, if you will. Sit back into the heels, come up into chair pose. And then rise all the way up. Yeah, maybe taking a gentle back bend as you reach up, stretch back. And then hands can come back down to the heart or hang down at your sides. Again, take a moment to check in. See what you notice. What are the effects of this movement practice? All right, next we're going to do a little bit of balance work. I'm going to just do a couple of balance poses. So you may want to have that stability or security from your chair, or it could be a wall or another piece of furniture that you have nearby. But regardless, it's certainly okay to have something there to touch. Keep yourself safe. So let's start with tree pose. So standing on one leg, deciding which leg you're going to pick up, and then sort of turn that knee out and have that bend of the knee so that your foot is somewhere on the inside of the other leg. Now, it could be toes touching the ground. This is a great choice if your balance is really unsteady and you need that extra help. You could take the leg up a little higher if you want. Maybe if your hips flexibility allows, you can reach down and pull that foot all the way up to the thigh. Okay, so again, choosing where you want that, and then you might want to find a focal point for your eyes, something to keep your gaze locked into. You can try bringing both hands to the heart. If you're needing to keep a fingertip touch, that's fine. But do challenge yourself a little bit, if it feels right, to, kind of test your balance. It's okay if you're wobbling. It's okay if you have to fall out and step down, right? You want to challenge the brain to, figure out some strategies to wake up a little bit for that balance work. Let's go 3 more breaths here. If you're pretty steady in that tree without holding on, you might take the arms up. You might sort of turn or change the gaze. That's going to challenge things by getting rid of or letting go of that focal point. All right, let's come on out of that side. Just take a little march in place. You may notice some different sensation in the leg you were standing on versus the one you had lifted up. Let's go ahead and do the other side. Very common to have better balance on one leg than the other. So see what you learn about yourself. So go ahead and bring that, leg or foot up, wherever it is that you want to take it. Stand tall, maybe use that focal point to start with. You're making your choices about, how much support you're keeping with your touch, whether you're keeping your arms, still and close to the body. Maybe you take them up and out. Again, a last option, if you need a little increased challenge, is to turn that gaze, look a little bit around your space. See if that makes things get a little more wobbly. All right, 2 more breaths. And then bring that down. Again, take a little walk in place, a little march here. All right, let's come back to seated. We're going to finish up with a few stretches. We're going to do a few things for the neck and a few things for the hips. All right, so start with sitting tall. Tilt your head over to one shoulder. So just kind of let that weight of the head fall, ear towards the shoulder. Now the opposite arm on the other side, take that arm and reach it out and away towards the, the baseboards there. And then release that arm, keep the head tilted. And just repeat that 3 more times. Reach the arm out and away, feel that stretch. Bring the arm back in. Reach the arm out and away. Bring it back in. 1 more time. And then bring that hand back in, but now let your head roll forward. And just roll it shoulder to shoulder a couple times. And then lift that head up. All right, we'll do it the other way. Tilt the head the other direction. Again, it's just the weight of the head there. Opposite arm reaches out and down. You're in control of how much and at what angle you're reaching. And then release that hand back to your lap. So take away some of that additional stretch. And then reach it out there again. Bring it back in. 2 more times. One more time. Hand back to your lap. Roll the head forward. Give it a little roll side to side. And then bring that head all the way up. All right, now for the hips. Let's take and cross one ankle. Now you could cross it over the shin. If I extend this other leg out, I can cross my leg foot at the ankle, at the shin, just below the knee, or maybe come up above the knee. And if I pull that bottom leg in closer, this crossed leg is going to be even higher. So you got lots of range or choice for what feels right for your hip here, right? So we're giving this hip a little stretch by taking this leg up. Now this is a really good stretch to keep your body able to do because it's very, helps us get to our feet, right? All right, sit up tall, helps keep our hips mobile. You can lean into it a little bit. That may not be something that you need to do. Maybe there's plenty of stretch just by crossing the leg, but if you feel you've got a little room to work with, you can do a little rocking, or you can lean forward and stay there. Good, and let's release that side. Now they could be different, right? So this other leg, can you cross it to the same place, or do you need to pick something lower or something a little higher? For me, this leg is tighter, right? So my knee's up higher. I can't lean as far. That's just the difference in my 2 hips right now. but I still can get a nice stretch on this side. So I find that little bit of rock or lean that I can add. Might go in and out of that a couple times. And then maybe hold it steady. All right. And then let's uncross. Let's just sit back in that chair for a moment. And I'll just take a few moments to reflect. You might close your eyes. I talked at the very beginning about you're going to need to make choices throughout our practice today. So I want you to just take a moment, reflect. How did you do with those choices? Did you find yourself, actually considering, what was the best option for you? Or did you just go with whatever I said regardless? Was it difficult to make choices? Choices often are challenging, right? We make them all day long. Sometimes we're not even conscious of it, but choice is just a process that we're going through with almost every action that we take. You definitely made a good choice by participating in our mindful movement session today, and we appreciate you choosing to practice with us and to get some movement for your body on Tuesday mornings at 10 a.m. And we hope that you will join us again next week and the weeks to come to give your body those healthy choices. Thanks so much for joining us here at AARP of Alabama, and we hope to see you again.
Thank you, Becca. I'm sure we're all loose and ready to go today.
Good.
We'll see you next time here on Mindful Movement.
All right, great. Everyone have a great day.